Obviously, he's going to have an expanded role with Nick being out for a while. How has he developed, and what do you see in his potential?
I'm sorry. Jonathan has always been one of the hardest working guys on the football team. But along with that, as the time has rolled by, he's become a really better and better defensive end. So I'm really excited about seeing him go play more.
How's he played so much?
He's played well, really hard. You know, the production maybe not so big, but he's really played and done his job well. I think with more opportunities, that'll lead to more production.
And do you have any kind of update on Nick and how long you think he might be out?
No, I don't have an update on that right now.
Is the latest still that he's just being evaluated and isn't going to play on Saturday?
As far as I know, yeah.
Similar question to a couple weeks ago, just the explosive plays. I can't imagine that you were very happy. You guys also made 2 good plays. You know, where do you come down on that out of the game? Do you feel good about the scoring a couple touchdowns or worse about the explosive ones?
Well, as a coach, you always feel worse about the bad stuff. But you're right. I mean, the two touchdowns and then the block punt is the defense, the kids. So they felt good about that, and I made sure they understood that we can't give up those plays. And it's all of us. It isn't the players or the coach. It's all of us. We've in 3 games, we've given up 3 gigantic runs and a couple big passes. We can't do that.
Do you see similarities in those plays?
Different guys. 2 of the 3 runs are similar problem, though. You know, but
which is what? Right?
Well, a couple things. One, the cause right at the point of attack is different in both of them.
Yeah.
But when you play with a deep safety, we need to be able to get them on the ground.
Right.
Now, the other thing is they're 2 of the really fast running backs, and they may have ran through our angle.
Yeah.
Because we have fast safeties, we probably just need to keep working on our angles. I always liken secondary players' angles to the ball carrier, like when you're a new driver. You know, you have to like really drive. Everything is like so mechanical, and as you drive more and more, you get more and more comfortable. I think that that's how our safeties will get. You know, when Jordan's back there, it's different than the young guys.
Yeah. Hey, you know, with Nick missing now and stuff, do you actually have to go and say, Chase, Jonathan, whom else plays defensive end? You know, you got to pick it up, or do you see it just automatically? They understand.
Yeah, they understand, and Coach Johnson makes it very clear what kind of production we need out of our defensive line. So, you know, the fortunate thing is we have good players in addition to Nick, but you know, Nick's special.
With Chase in particular, though, do you see? I mean, is Chase the kind of guy that can, you know, fill that vote? Obviously, he's been playing and stuff, but I mean, what do you expect from Chase in particular now that the carrot may be even bigger?
Well, I think what it might lead to is even more playing time for Chase. You know, we had rotations going. Well, when you lose a key member of the rotation, but Coach Jay always has a way of winding somebody in there, and they rise to the occasion. So, you know, his repetitions may go up a little bit, but I think some of the young guys will step up.
Greg, what's your assessment of the linebacker play so far? It seemed like on some of those big plays they were out of position a little bit, at least from my view. Is that fixable stuff? Am I wrong on that?
I think the linebackers have played pretty well, actually. You know, the one long run, that's something that we were kind of cheating a little bit on, and they did something they hadn't done. You know, in a lot of games that we broke down, they never did it. So sometimes when you cheat, you get, you get.
So it kind of deceives the way it might look to the human eye if something
Yeah, the
like
linebackers,
that
I think, you know, I mean, we're not perfect by any means, but I think really playing much more assignment sound football than we were. Even in training camp. I mean, I think they're getting better and better, and then having Tough in there for a bunch of plays was nice, and Barron played well, so that was good.
And what with Sean Wade, how's he played, and is that somebody that you can see will have a continued role increase in this defense right now?
If he continues to play well, yes. You know, it's so competitive with all those young guys that it really is day to day, practice to practice, game to game. You earn it in practice, you get a chance to go do it in the game, you make a few plays in the game, then you earn some more in practice. And it's interesting when you're a young guy trying to break into a lineup, sometimes increased exposure isn't a good thing, and sometimes increased exposure is a good thing. You know, more reps, you either have more chance to make a mistake or more chance to make a play. And the guys that are ready, it's more chance to make a play. Sean did that when he got more chances, he kept making more plays. but there's guys that are competing for that job that are trying to do the same thing, and some of them are doing it. So right now the competition is intense, and we constantly reward performance. If you're performing, you get more reps.
Is Sean at safety something you think could happen this year, or is that a couple of years down the road?
Oh no,
projection?
no, he's taking reps at all three positions: nickel, safety, and corner. Yeah, so it's in the works.
How difficult is that for somebody? I mean, I know that they're all.
Get you next one, I promise.
You can get her first, and I'll come back.
Ladies first.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know that sometimes injured players are off conditioning, but sometimes they're able to contribute a little to practice because they're there, they're on the sidelines. Nick's obviously looked at by his teammates as a leader. What is he able to contribute even when he's not in the lineup?
Probably too soon to answer that right now because they're still in the diagnosis stage. So I'll probably tell you better a week from now.
I know that a lot of your defensive backs positions, or not all of them, are very coverage oriented. But how different is it to rep at all three in practice? Is there a lot of overlap in terms of what he needs to do in Shaun Wade's situation, or is that a pretty tall task for somebody like him?
Sean's really intelligent. He picks things up quickly. So nickel and corner are very similar. When you go to safety, there's several different responsibilities that come up. So we've been impressed how fast he's picking stuff up. Now again, he's not, to have the whole shooting match, it takes a while. But what we've put on his plate, he's handled well.
Is that what makes him an ideal guy to potentially move there, or is there more to it than that?
Well, it's athleticism, range, you know. If you remember, we moved Damon Webb from corner to safety, and his athleticism, but he had really good range too, and coverage skills. So he's got those special traits, and then he is a bright guy as well. So yeah, that's just needs to continue making the progress that he made. You know, sometimes young guys take that jump and then they level off. You know, the challenge to him is to keep that upward trend going.
Greg, Ryan said, they asked after the game on Saturday, like what it was like just for him to be in that position as the interim head coach, and he went on like a 30-second rant about how crucial you were. Maybe rant's not the right word, but it was complimentary of you. What was that like for you, having all the experience that you have at both levels, and how do you perceive your role helped this team behind the scenes that maybe Ryan Day is getting, you know, since he was on the sideline, a lot of credit for?
Well, I thought Ryan did an incredible job in coach's absence, because it really was a couple different phases, right? There was, we didn't know, so we were going kind of blindly, and then there was, we did know, and then coach came back and he could be there during the week, but not on the game day. I thought Ryan handled every one of those phases with, dignity. He was compassionate to everyone involved, but then he led with strong leadership. And I think, I always thought that was him, when you work alongside, but when you're thrust into the position, he did an incredible job. And I enjoyed working with him. What's that?
He did say he leaned on you.
Yeah, I mean, that's, hopefully I could do that from, been coaching for a while, all these years of coaching it. But I really, our staff is really a neat group of guys. Coach Meyer's done a good job of putting together not only good coaches, but I think a good chemistry. So it was in a bad situation. I think everybody kind of took on a little more, did a little bit more to kind of try to help fill that void. But in any kind of group dynamics, there needs to be the leader. And I think Ryan stepped up and did a tremendous job leading.
Greg, Jordan is in a different safety spot than he was last year, is that right? He's playing the field instead of the boundary?
Yeah, it is a different spot, you're right.
Why that change? I guess why just slide him over to the other spot?
Well, what happens sometimes is you get a little bit more man coverage to the field. Most teams put their formation passing strength to the field. But in modern college football, you can't really say that all the time.
Yeah.
Modern college football, I was talking to a buddy of mine today in the NFL, and modern college football, the coach defense in modern college football is so different even than it was 5 years ago. I mean, there's so much formation into the sideline. There's so much of, where you have to defend 3 plays within 1 play, right? This RPO stuff. And so it used to probably mean more to be the field safety, but I still think percentage-wise it's a little bit a little bit more coverage oriented.
I guess the reason I asked is because you talk so much about Jordan being a sweeper, and I wonder if you've ever thought of sort of not locking them into boundary and field so that Jordan could sort of always be the center fielder.
As a matter of fact, we talked about that Saturday night. Yeah, we have talked about it. What you lose then is you lose your disguise, you know, because we can rock and roll our safeties back and forth, and we can pressure both ways. You know, a lot of times what you do is you bring the safety down to the pressure. The minute you make one guy always your post player, which I've done that many times in my career.
You guys did that with Malik a little bit, right?
No, Malik did it both ways. Just they weren't, even back, it's only 2 years ago, you weren't getting as much formation into the sideline. So it's kind of a trade-off, right? And our hope is that our young post players, when you play in the deep middle, our young post players get better at doing that.
Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that progression through 3 games with those guys?
We are, but like I said, we happened to get 2 really fast backs, and we weren't able. Again, that's not the reason the ball's on them is not. That's not their fault.
Sure.
But it's their job as a safety, just by the definition of the word, right? You're the safety. I mean, you have to stop it if it does happen to pop. It's not a little job. You know, Coach Grinch said something great today. He said, if that was easy, you know, we would just cover punts with one guy. Because that's what it is. When you're standing back there and that back's coming, it's just you and him. That's scary stuff.
Yeah.
So we need to do a better job of keeping it from getting to that spot. But if it does, we got to get him on the ground. Okay.
Thanks, Greg.